How are you?
Hi.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you guys for coming. We've got a great audience, as you can see, sold out today, almost 5,000 people. And I think everyone here is going to be inspired by your story. So let's start from the beginning.
All right.
How did it begin?
Well, first of all, good morning, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Brian and I started a company called The Honest Company. It'll be, at the end of January, it'll be 4 years. So we're still a startup, a scrappy startup.
I don't know about that.
You know what's interesting is we still operate like a scrappy startup. I mean, we all really do anything we can to move the business forward. Should we start from the beginning of the idea?
Let's talk about the birth.
Okay.
You know, what happened where you said, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it right?
I don't know if you know you're going to do it right away. I think you're just like, I'm going to do this and see what happens. I feel like that's more the deal. I had this crazy idea to start a company that met the needs for modern families, that delivered effective, safe products that are convenient to get, beautifully designed, and priced within reach. So I had this idea when I was pregnant with my first kid. I got the idea. I found it was really challenging to find one brand that I could trust, that was transparent about the ingredients that were inside, and that made truly effective products that were safe. Often if I went for the safer option, it was 5 times more expensive and it didn't really work, and it was in like ugly, weird brown packaging. Or if I went for the more effective, it was really pretty and wrapped in a beautiful bow, but it often used ingredients that I was allergic to or had questionable, potentially harmful ingredients. So I sort of married these two ideas and then wanted to deliver it conveniently to people's homes. I was a new mom, and I would, have my baby, and at the time I had 2 babies, and go to the grocery store and fill my cart with things that weren't fresh and didn't have an expiration date, and I was frustrated because then I would have to get 2 carts and 2 babies, and that's impossible. So I was like, how great would it be if we can get these items like cleaning products and personal care products and diapers and wipes just conveniently delivered to your door, and it should be cute and it should be affordable. So that's the idea. But it couldn't have happened without Brian Lee. He really is an incredible partner. No one would take me seriously in any meeting. Going to raise capital without Brian is impossible. I mean, I think you have to look around at your strengths and your weaknesses, get real with yourself, and find people that you can go into business with that support your weaknesses. And so I feel like Brian and I were a really good match.
Well, when you guys, Brian, maybe you can talk to us, but when you first started, and I love this, and I read this and I hope it's accurate, but you didn't come out with just one product. And everyone had said, well, you should just kind of come out, ease into the water, test one product, see if it works. You guys said, no. We're going to come out with a whole line of products. Is that what happened? And if so, tell me about that.
Yeah, actually, the first time Jessica came to talk to me about the Honest Company, she had probably 5 pages of products that she wanted to do. And it ran the gamut to paint to
air filters,
crib mattresses, air filters.
Wow.
I mean, it was everything. And she was just like, we're going to start this company, and we're just going to make your entire home safe and just
beautiful and modern
and healthier and beautiful and modern. And basically, what we did together was we decided to kind of hone that down and simplify. And the area that we kind of targeted was new families and babies. That's how we kind of started. Because we knew that if you focused on, call it the diaper market and the baby shampoo market, we could get into your home, right? It was a very targeted segment that we could hit. And then we wanted to quickly expand from there, right, into a lifestyle brand. And so that's how we started. We started in diapers and wipes and baby shampoos and
laundry detergent
and laundry detergents and everything to keep kind of like, yeah.
Like
a lot.
17 products. He always says we started like a baby company, but we didn't. It was like,
Well, we
Are you
had
sure you two aren't married?
we had some
Like a married couple here.
outside. But that's. But
by
that's
the
how we
way,
started.
it's the marriage without the dating or courting. It's like immediately you're lifers.
we
You're
met.
getting into business.
We met on eHarmony, by the way.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people out here who are new entrepreneurs, or they're thinking about starting a business and they're thinking about getting into a partnership. How did you know that it was a good partnership? Because it is like a marriage. I mean, probably you spend more time with each other than you do your spouses, and when you're
True.
first starting out, that's the case. So what were the characteristics that you were each looking for in a partner?
Well, for me, it's like I think we both know what our strengths are, and we play well off of each other. So if you're looking for a partner, you really have to understand yourself first. You have to understand and understand what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and try to buttress your weaknesses with the right partner. So when I started working with Jessica, I realized very, very quickly that she was kind of like, in business terms, right, the yin to my yang, really. Because I'm more on the business side. I execute, I operate, I run data and infrastructure. And she's our chief creative officer, and her vision really is what the brand stands for. And so when it comes to the softer side of business, right, the product design, the marketing, the packaging, that's where
The
she
storytelling.
shines. Yeah, the storytelling.
Well, facts tell, stories sell. So
Yeah.
that's very
And
important.
it's also taking, the analytics around business in a certain marketplace, understanding it, and then delivering the right message to them. So understanding your demographic, understanding the opportunity, which he gives me, and then I can then go and work with teams to deliver a product and a narrative that isn't just like shoving something down somebody's throat, but it's like, look at how we're gonna make your life better and easier and add value.
Well, I want to get back to the inception. So you came up with the idea, you guys met.
I pitched it to Brian, and he turned me down.
Okay.
It happened.
Wow.
And then like 18 months later,
About 18 months to 2 years later.
he had 2 kids by then. He was busy. And then, and then all of a sudden he was down. He was like, oh yeah, I want my kids to live in a safer and healthier home. That makes sense.
No, it really came down to that was the case. But the first time Jessica approached me, well, number one, I didn't have children, but number two, I was kind of busy on a couple other companies, and it's not that I didn't believe in it, but when I started seeing how my wife actually changed her buying patterns after having children, I started getting more and more interested in what Jessica was talking to me about, because my wife started shopping for organic foods, buying safer products for the home, and I knew that, if my wife is doing it, that means a lot of mothers out there are really changing their buying patterns and behaviors after they have children.
So you decided to form the partnership. How long did it take from the time you formed the partnership till you got it out to the marketplace?
A couple years, maybe a little less, maybe about a year and a half.
Like a year and a half.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And take us through that process just so everyone in the audience can kind of understand it.
Okay, it's a blur.
Yeah, I mean, you have to put together the business plan. You have to figure out how you're going to execute. You have to figure out who's going to lead what teams. You have to really operate with, the least amount of people as possible also.
I mean, we were really scrappy.
We launched with a
So-
beta website too.
Yeah, we basically,
didn't test
when we started the company, you do the first steps. We didn't have time to test.
We didn't have time to test.
But we raised a little bit of capital, built a small team. We had about 5 people at the company, a couple engineers, a bookkeeper on QuickBooks, using QuickBooks.
Now we're talking.
For a long time. Yeah.
Incorporated, got the trademark, set the bank account. You do all those steps. So you design the website and the mobile site, start ordering start formulating the products, finding manufacturers that can batch those products for you, so you get the products in-house, and then you start coming up with your social and marketing and media plan with Jessica.
And the fulfillment was a really steep learning curve.
Yeah, the fulfillment is the hard part with e-commerce. It always is.
Yeah.
Right? Making sure that your products are delivered, on time and accurately.
So obviously for the two of you, you've got, you're well known, you've got great reputations. Things are it's a different road than the average person out there pitching. But if you had to give someone some pieces of advice if they wanted to start their own company like The Honest Company, what are 3 tips that people can leave here today and say, I'm going to implement those into my business tomorrow?
Sure. So
Brian's done this 3 times. I've only done it once.
So I'll tell you a story. When I started LegalZoom.com, 15 years ago, we probably approached about 50 venture capitalists up here in the Valley, and got 50 no's. No one understood what we were trying to build in terms of automating, very common legal documents. But that didn't stop us. So we really just believed in the idea. So I would say the first advice would be truly believe your idea. Like really do some soul searching and say, is this the one that I'm gonna give everything I have to? Because if you don't have that type of belief in your idea, it's too easy to quit, truthfully, and move on to the next idea. And so with LegalZoom, we never raised any capital. We started out of my condo and just kept growing it. But not raising capital did not stop us. Basically, we begged, borrowed, and stole from relatives, friends. It was insane. But I mean, when we were first raising capital, we were telling people the minimum investment is $10,000. Until someone offered us $500 and we took it. We were like, sure, we'll take the $500. Yeah. So I mean, you just do whatever you can, and you're just scrappy about it. Yeah.
I'm sure that person who invested $500 is probably pretty happy today.
Oh yeah, they're thrilled.
I think my biggest lesson, it took me 3.5 years actually from inception of this idea to finding Brian. And I went through lots of different versions, people trying to take my idea and turn it into theirs and change it. So I think sticking to your guns, and gosh, I think really understanding the marketplace and how you're going to be different and how you really are going to add value. Nobody needs a Me Too company. There's plenty of companies out there that already exist that are doing great things. How can you look at the marketplace and look how you're really truly going to be different? And then surround yourself with smart people. I mean, even people who are in business different than the one that you want to get into, pitch them the idea, let them poke holes in your business plan, and refine it. I think instead of taking the criticism and having that sort of take you off your path or it being disheartening, take the criticism and use it to your advantage. You need a great elevator pitch. So I think take this time until you really find the right business partners and the right people to invest capital into your business to just refine it and get it down to the best elevator pitch you can.
Did you use the criticism as fuel, to prove people wrong, those doubters, those people who laughed at you?
When I was an actress, I always loved when people looked at me sideways and were like, nobody looks like you who's a leading lady. And then when I would, get the role as the superhero, I was like, yes, see, there can be a Mexican superhero. She exists. And so, yeah, I felt like I ran into a lot of those hurdles in Hollywood. And so being able to learn from that and then apply it to business for sure, especially people in entertainment, when I would pitch them this idea, this great idea I had for this company that was honest and transparent, they would be like, can you just do a perfume? Like everyone else.
So I got to travel all over the country this past year and talk to dozens and dozens of small business owners. Many of them are sitting right here that I got to visit. And almost all of them had a story for me when they didn't think it was going to work. They said, you know what, I was down to my last nickel, whatever the case may be. Was there ever a point where you guys looked at each other and said, I don't know, man, we gotta dig a little deeper because we're getting close to the edge? Or was it just out of the gate, people put their arms around you?
I don't think we ever doubted, truthfully. We both believed in the idea 100%. We built a very, very strong team. I think we were nervous a lot of times. Like even when we launched the company, Jessica actually mentioned earlier that we didn't have time to test the site, and that's true.
Got a lot of developers out here who aren't happy to hear that.
We were developing, we were building the site until 30 minutes before she showed up on the Today Show to announce the Honest Company.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my God, I hope this works.
We hoped it didn't crash.
This works. The funniest thing is that we were taking all these orders because she did a whole press junket, and we had all these people come to the site and ordering from us, and we're like, wow, this is awesome. And it took us about 2 or 3 days to realize that we weren't charging these people. So we had this little dilemma. Like 3 days afterwards, we're like, should we contact them again and try to get another credit card number from them? And we started, and they're like, no, they ended up getting a free stuff.
A lot of people
the first 3 days, if you were one of our customers, thank you for your order, but it was free.
So a lot of people also, they don't know when to grow. They don't know when to expand. That's probably one of the most common themes that small business owners have is, how do you know when you bring more people on? How do you know when to expand? What's the secret for that? Because you've done it several times now, and this is your first time, but you've grown significantly in the 4 years.
Yeah.
When did you say, okay, it's time?
I feel like we're trying to keep up with the growth.
Yeah.
It's hard to find.
Well, number one, it's always tough to find, very talented folks.
Yeah.
Right. But in terms of like, when do you know it's time? I know this is going to sound kind of odd, but I tend to. Well, we both spend so much time on culture, right, and keeping that culture of the company intact. And as soon as you start seeing people, not as happy, truthfully, and working, if you're at work until 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, it's like you basically gotta step up your game as owners. And
in the beginning, that's okay.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you can't continue. It's just not sustainable.
Yeah. So I think you just have to kind of.
So the numbers.
The
numbers don't lie. When the numbers are there, then it's time to.
And if you need to staff up, just so that like the people who have been there for a long time, you want them to be happy, and it's about quality of life, and you want them still to be able to go home and have a life, because the happier they are, the better and more productive they are at work. So you don't want to overly stress your people who work with you.
I want to come and work for you.
Well, no, I mean, I'm at the office, we all work really hard, and we're all there long hours, and, I work on the weekends sometimes, and we both do. You do what you have to do, but you don't want to make a habit of it. You want to try and create as healthy of an environment as humanly possible, I think.
Yeah. Which leads me to the next question for you, Jessica, because I think a lot of people are impressed with how involved you are, because a lot of times celebrity companies, it's a name.
This isn't a celebrity company.
I know that. That's what I was getting at. Just let me finish. A lot of celebrities who are entrepreneurs they're not getting dirty. You're getting dirty. You're involved. You're there every step of the way. Take me through your typical day at the Honest Company.
Back-to-back meetings. I mean,
but you're making the product decisions. You are
marketing decisions, web design, working with the UI UX team, creating content to integrate the sort of people love that social community aspect, and how do you marry the social media with an e-commerce platform, and so that's kind of been our biggest thing. I did it with honestbeauty.com, and I actually did a lot of those YouTube makeup tutorials. It's a beauty brand, and we did lots of how-tos, and how do you take what's out there in the world that people are already consuming and integrate it into the e-commerce experience. And so, that was my idea. And then on a daily basis, you're just constantly refining it and working with your team to code it. And we're going to have an app that we're launching soon. So how does it seamlessly go onto your phone and that experience work as well, if not better, than what's happening on the computer? Because at the end of the day, everybody's shopping on their phones. To design of packaging, to the product and the quality of the product. So. I have my hands in all that fun stuff.
And you talked about social media, and obviously that's something that's very important to most people here. Some people are new to it, but I think
millennials are online. I mean, the new community and the new village. If you are speaking to parents, the new village to raise kids is online. But even just young people, that's where their lives are. They are online and they are communicating all day long. And
but I think a lot of companies abuse social media, and it's just used as a tool for providing commercials, where you guys provide content, tips. The whole point of today's event is to make people's lives better. When they leave here, they're going to walk away with things that they didn't know. They're going to have knowledge, and that's something that I think the smart companies are saying. I'm going to provide my followers with real content that's going to enhance their lives. Tell me how the honest company does that.
Well, it has to be content that's relevant for your consumer. So if you're, an adult beverage company, the content that you deliver should be right for that company and those people versus a baby company versus a fashion brand. So I think it's understanding your customer and delivering content that speaks to them and is relevant to them, and also understanding that the different platforms, so Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Snapchat, they're all very different platforms, and you can't put the same content on each one. You have to understand the platform and deliver the right content for those platforms.
So you guys are 4 years in. I'll switch over to you, Brian. Looking back, if there was one thing you could do differently today, or you wish you knew today that you didn't know 4 years ago, what is that one thing?
I think I would have said yes to Jessica sooner. But the other thing I would say is, in terms of infrastructure and logistics, I would actually have made that investment sooner into automation, into the warehouses, because that's where we're focused now, is making the fulfillment as streamlined as possible. And I would say I should have made that investment 2 years ago.
And I guess, lastly, who do you guys go to for advice? Like, who has given you the best advice since you started this company, where you say, that's someone I can trust, or I can count on, or I really value what they have to say? Aside from each other.
I always talk to Brian. And we go to Cash a lot, and Kira. We go to our spouses.
Yeah, our spouses a lot. I go to my dad a lot, truthfully. He was a businessman, and I trust his instincts, and so I run a lot of things by him. And there's a whole network, truthfully, of great entrepreneurs in every city, and especially in Los Angeles. I mean, we have some super entrepreneurs down there that we're asking questions of and asking advice of. So.
Yeah.
Any advice you can give to the audience and the small business owners and the accountants out there that they can take away and say, Jessica and Brian told me to do this, and I'm going to do it come Thursday morning when I get to my office?
Get on Snapchat? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I just got on Snapchat, by the way. It's pretty entertaining.
Gosh, don't let anyone discourage you, and see your idea through to the finish line, and try to stay as true to your vision as humanly possible. Try not to compromise, why you're doing it and what you believe in. It's easy to kind of get off your path when someone wants to, give you a certain amount of capital, or when they want to bring in a partner. But if it changes your vision so much, then you're not going to be happy at the end of the day with the outcome. So I think just be real with where you're willing to compromise and how far you want to go.
Authenticity.
Yeah. I would say today's a great day. right? Today's a great day to do what you have to do. If you're thinking about starting a company, you should have started it yesterday, truthfully, and you're already a day behind, right? So think about it that.
Literally, this is what I have to deal with every day.
I mean, it's... Because I'll tell you, no one's going to do it for you, right? You all know this. No one's just going to hand you a boatload of cash and say, thank you so much for trying to do it, right? So take action, really. It's up to you. It's in you. If you're here at this conference, you're here for a reason, because you're thinking about starting a company, or you're running a company, you want to grow it, whatever it is, but it's up to you, really. No one's just going to give you the keys. You're just going to have to figure it out and go. You're going to make mistakes along the way. Don't let that bother you. Just correct your course and keep going.
Well, I got to say, it's impressive to see what you guys have done in 4 years, and I'm excited to see what you guys do over the next 4 years. So thank you so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, Jessica Alba and Brian Lee.